Okay, we are back with this town and region house rule, playing E40 on the 2 or less channel, and we have to correct a mistake from the end of the last video. Whilst these rules are fully fleshed out, they're not fully honed into my pea-sized brain, and I did forget that we can only build 2 militia per turn. So the number of units that are in Paris has gone down by 1. There's now 7 units in there, of which only 5 of them are going to fight back at 2s, the other 2 are going to fight back at 1s. It's a way of reducing down the numbers every time, provided Germany actually do a reasonable attack, which they didn't do last time and completely failing. But there's a lot more lined up now on the battleboard for them to take on Paris. Before we do that, let's just quickly mention Germany have purchased tanks and artillery that will be going onto the Western Front, or Soviet's Western Front, Germany's Eastern Front. But they were going to press forward. That was a strong case of pressing forward last term. We did think that was going to happen, but it's up north we're concerned about. I don't think that the Germans are strong enough against those Soviet forces just yet. They're going to allow themselves one more turn to push themselves forward, sweep through the non-com phase, and then get themselves going ready for the next turn. They were thinking about purchasing also Germany, perhaps some submarines, stick the fish in the water against the Americans that will be coming over, but they got one more turn to do that. Let's just give themselves a little bit of a breathing space, get France done, make their move into the Soviet Union, and then they can start thinking about America land after that. So the battle in Paris, they can now get themselves, having cleared out the English fleet from the Bristol Channel last time, they can get those bombers into the attack as well. France will only have themselves these 5 infantry units and 2 militia units that can defend into there. So with the German attack now, with these changed numbers, that the bombers are only attacking at 3, but they do have 4 of them. There's 2 Strat and 2 Tacs, all going in at 3s or less. And they got 4 hits. Oh, that's a lot better than last time round. Thank you. So that's 4 off. We're going to move the 2 militia and 2 of the infantry units. Get taken back to the casualty strip. Next up on the battle will be 6 tanks all rolling in at 2s. And we'll do the 2 artillery units while we're there also going in at 2s. No combined arms in the city attacks. And the tanks failed again. It just shows how difficult it is to use tanks in cities. They've just got 1 hit out of that. So 1 more infantry unit gets lost by France. All that remains now for the Germans' single dice roll attack this time round is 1 plane. We'll represent him with the black dice, fighter plane, and 2 mechanised infantry. It's all at 1s in these rules. They're just going in at 1s and they all miss. So France have lost all these units. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 they can reply with. 3 will be regular infantry, 5 will be regular infantry, and 2 will be the militia units. So these are at 2s, these are at 1s. See me counting all back to front for a moment. And, oh, nice. There's 2 hits there from the regular infantry and 1 from the militia unit again. Their ones are hot this time. So 3 off the Germans. That's going to be, I suspect, the mechanised infantry and one of the artillery units. I believe that's what we're going to do. I shall tidy all that up, get that back on the board. France, once again, Paris will stay alive, albeit reduced. They will only be able to purchase 2 militia units now into Paris at the end of when it comes to their purchase and mobilisation phases. So there could be 4 units into Paris next time round, which are going to be softer and softer for them. Let me get you through to the end of turn number 3, and I will see you then. Well, we have reached the end of turn number 3 now, and that is the east-west border, with the convocation of worthies spoiling for a fight. It's going to happen on turn number 4. It's going to be a good fun. The UK forces have sorted out Africa. on turn 3, unusually it takes normally a turn longer than that. I often find with that. So as UK are now picking up their extra bonus from there. France and Britain combined have got the Med under control, albeit very delicately, and have put themselves into some convoy zones. And America land, they have declared war on Germany, so they will have a big purchase at the start of next turn for them. They got themselves a battleship, an extra bomber this time around, ready to start moving across and start helping out the UK forces. And as we did think, Germany's forces, well, there was mainly a bit of shuffling around to get the right units in the right place. They have taken a couple of their tactical bombers and put them into Poland from that France attack, feeling confident enough with the tanks and infantry that are left there in France that they can finish off Paris this time round. I may not have pointed it out before, but ground units would treat France and Paris, or a region and a city, as two spaces, whereas air units would treat them as one space. It's a rule that I think is sensible. I did think it through several times beforehand. Italy's troubles have continued, obviously, with the UK and France now looking after the Med, and they are building up slowly, but they haven't got a lot of funds at the moment. Obviously, convoy zones are going to be reducing that. So, next time I will speak to you will be the start of turn number 4. We'll do this German attack, finish off Paris, and I may even roll out the first attacks of Germany into Soviet Union with you as well. I'll see you then. Okay, we are ready now for the action on turn number 4. I shall bring all these to you in a piecemeal fashion. As you can see, they are moving forward into Bessarabia, the Germans. They're moving forward into western Poland, and it was eastern Poland, one of those two, and they're going into Belarus. I can't remember which one it is. They're also going to do an amphibious assault, taking a couple of units out of Poland, attacking to Belarus, and going into Vyborg rather than Novgorod. If they went into Novgorod, that again is a place with a city in it, as in Leningrad, the whole reason why he started this idea in the first place, and we wouldn't want the Soviets to be able to pull back into a city until we got all our pieces in place to hit them hard on that first round attack, because we don't want them being a real pain in the backside like the French have turned out to be with some of the rather looser German attacks that had happened. Now all that's left in France now, in Paris that is, are these 2 militia and 2 infantry units, and Germany are going to try and smash them like in one roll. We should be able to in one roll, can't we, this time round? They're going to have 3 bombers going in. Sorry, one of those is a fighter. Let's not get that one wrong. We're going to have two bombers going in at 3s to do their first attack. And one of them has scored a hit. Now we go back down to the tanks on the register. There are 6 tanks still waiting around trying to finish this job off, being appallingly bad at first. We moved that 1 casualty while we remember it, and we've got 2 artillery units in there as well that don't do combined arms, as you will remember. These are all at 2s, and that one's off the board. But we have got, as I can easily see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Finally, Paris has fallen. These units are taken away from France. We'll give them their reply rolls. It will be 2 at 2 from the French infantry that are there, and 2 at 1 from the French militia units that are there. And they've all missed. So, okay, it was overkill by Germany this time, but certainly under rolls for the first few rounds of that attack. That will mean that finally this token can come off the board. France has fallen entirely, not just in name only. Germany will have Paris under its control. They will be able to use that IC that's in the region, and they will take half of the IPCs, because you can only take half IPCs from a foreign territory in this rule. But they will take the whole of a French bank, which I think is only about 8 or 12 IPCs at the moment, but it's still all helpful for the cause. Germany themselves have brought themselves some submarines and some artillery infantry ready for this attack, figuring they've got to get some fish in the water to protect against this American lot that are coming over, and they have been saving a little bit from the previous round, so they got quite a good buy this time round. So let me get the first attack on the board, which is probably going to be that amphibious invasion, and I'll see you then. Okay, this is going to be the battle into Viborg with the amphibious assault and some units coming down from Finland. If you can forgive the messy battle board we've got, these are the units which are on the amphibious assault. These are the ones on the land assault. But first, we've got to do the sea battle. We have got a cruiser and a destroyer for the Germans versus a cruiser and a submarine for the Soviet Union. So there's no surprise strike attack for the Soviets. We roll the 3 and the 2, the 3 being the black dice, the 2 being the red dice, for the 2 ships. And they've just scored 2 hits. Well, we've got to do nothing else now. I was going to roll the tactical bomber separately, but we're done. It's a done deal. They have killed those 2 units. So that's caught me out with its brevity. Let's now roll the reply from the Soviet Union. We have their cruiser going in at 3s and missing, and we have their submarine at 2s, and that misses as well. So that's a complete failure for the Soviet Union's naval policies. We can remove all this to the side, and I can tidy it all up and remember everything, because I'm good at remembering things not. That transport will now load its units onto the shoreline. We have the artillery unit being loaded in with an infantry unit from that transport. That will now do its attack along with the 2 Soviet defenders and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 German forces which are up in Finland or coming through from Finland at this stage. So we have 2 at 2, and we're going to have 5 at 1. Let's see if we can smash them straight away and get ourselves into Viborg. Obviously leaving Finland wide open. And it's not that good. I can see just the 1 hit. Eek. Okay, well, it's not terrible because when you're facing 2 units. So, 2 units in reply from the Soviets. 2 at 2s. And I just smashed America out of the game. That was a 3. I don't normally count units that roll off the rolling mat, so we're going to roll that one again. Yep, they've missed again. That's me and my terrible aims. So 2 at 2 and 5 at 1 again. We can just end the Soviets in this roll here. Yeah, we've done that easily. They've only got 4 hits. This guy's smithereens. He's smashed the smithereens, he is. So 1 roll for him in defence, and he misses as well. Soviets doing really badly up there in Viborg. I'm slightly concerned that we've left Finland wide open. We can move units from Norway into Finland, but I don't envisage, let me just show you what I'm talking about. I don't really envisage the Karelia units coming forward and into Finland in any kind of hurry there. Or even the UK going into Norway if we vacate most of the Norway units. In fact, the UK haven't even got any transport there, so we should be pretty safe up there. So next up, we're going to be the battle into the Baltic states. Okay, this is the battle from Poland into the Baltic states. One thing I was going to point out, and I forgot to, is I picked up a 41 set the other day, got it really, really cheap, and painted some of their units as well, because I think they're a bit different compared to the standard units. This is one of the German transport ships, which I think are much more funky, groovy, fantastic than the bulk standard G40 and 1942 versions of German transport ships. I mean, they're okay, but they're just a little bit flat. Ones from the 41 set are just more, and more is better because it's more. So ignore all that. Let's get on with this attack into the Baltic states while we place that ship. So we only have the 6 Soviet infantry versus all this might. There is 4 tanks in there, there's 6 infantry artillery, and there's some more infantry on the end should we need it. Who needs G1 when G4 can overpower all the opposition? So let's get on with this. 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks. We have got 4 at 4 going in first, and we have 4 at 3 going in first, and 6 at 2s going in first with the combination rolls. Nice big handful. Oh, there's just massive damage there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see 5 damage. They're the ones that are going in at 3s. They're going in at 2s. 5 damage. That's all but that one lonely guy has been smashed straight away. And Poppet is fidgeting again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 infantry on their own. So 5 at 1. Can one of these plucky Germans, stout and true, roll a 1 for us and 1 roll the Soviets in the Baltic states? He can't. Well, it was close though. He tried. There's a couple of 2s in there. So, in reply, we're going to have 6 Soviet dice. Soviet red for red Ruskies. All at 2s. That's pretty good. They've got 4 off the Germans. Nice. So, 4 infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Immediately lost. That leaves 1 guy in there on his Todd. And this one Soviet guy facing, well, just the might of him. I'd turn and run if that was me. We have got the 4 tanks at 3s. Don't need any more than that. This guy is kaput. And he will get his 1 roll in defence at a 2. And gets a hit as well. Well, then, well done, chap. So there's no more infantry apart from the infantry artillery combinations. So I think that's going to leave Baltic states a done deal with 4 tanks and 6 infantry artillery in total, or 3 each. We'll look at that attack into West Poland next. Yeah, East Poland, West Poland, it's all the same to me. It's going to get smashed by the Germans. Let's have a look at the different prospects we've got going on here. Soviets have got 8 units in defence in there, all infantry. Germany have got 3 tactical bombers and a tank, and half a dozen infantry artillery and some extra infantry on the end there. Their first roll will be 4 at 3 for the tank and the 3 tacticals, and 6 at 2 for that combination. So there's a chance of 1 rolling. We've got to get a nice big 1 roll for this German war machine. It's not half bad. These ones haven't hit. The rest, oh, that 6 hasn't hit, that's for sure. We got 5 hits. We got the 2 of them at 3 and 3 of them at 2. 5 hits off of the Soviets already. That's going to hurt them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait up so we can see what we got there. And there is now 3 at 1 for those lonely, plucky German infantry units running in naked. And they've all missed, but they've all scored 3s. So it was a united miss then by them. In return, the Soviet Union will have 8 at 2. We will give them all of those dice. They're all counting at 2s to see what they can do in reply. Can they be as plucky as their counterparts up in Baltic states? And they can't. They've just scored the 1 hit. That's all they've done there. So 1 German has lost his life. We should take the rest of those chips off the board and go with round number 2. We have, once again, 4 at 3 to start off with, and 6 at 2s. Trying to do 3 damage, and there's 1 hit, and that's it. Oops. Yep, just the 1 off. That wasn't very clever. And in we have the 2 infantry that's coming in knackered. They both miss as well. Soviets will get 3 dice in reply. We used 3 red ones this time. And they've scored 2 hits. So this guy's lost from the Soviet side, and those 2 infantry are lost from the German side. got to finish it off. They're making hard work of it again, these Germans. 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 6 at 2. So 4 at 3, 6 at 2. It can't go on for another round, can it? This is going to be the end, surely. But only just again. One of the 3s is hit and one of the 2s is hit. So Soviets are now being smashed out of there. In reply for them, they're going to get 2 at 2 for the closing battle, and they both have missed this time. That is the done deal in eastern Poland. And the only other things that we will be doing will be to walk in to Bessarabia, because there's no Soviet Union troops in there, and it was going to be a shuffle round of the German units to get them into the right place in their non-com moves. There won't be too much non-com happening, apart from perhaps parking these planes somewhere else. But we see where we go with all of this, and then it'll be the Soviet reply. So I'm probably going to see you again, unless something absolutely spectacular is on the cards here, at the end of turn number 4. Well, we have reached the end of turn number 4. Here's the positions over here on the Eastern Front. There was a very good case for the Soviets coming forward this time into into Bessarabia, as the Germans had already lined themselves up there. They were pretty strong, not quite as strong as this, but the Soviets are now reinforced into this area. They could launch an attack in here, the Soviets, and conceivably Germany could lose Bessarabia and then Romania afterwards. But I think Germany may push there first, preempt that strike and go in there. There's a large number of bombers up here in the northern states, up towards Baltic states, to try to get Leningrad sorted, but maybe they should divert those down south and take out this larger contingent of build-up that the Soviets have managed. But we're not entirely sure whether we're going to do that there. We're still umming and ahhing as to the best places for Germany to continue their attacks forward. Of course, there is also the Leningrad attack up there. Do they push into that city? Do they cause that city to be formed, as we have done previously? It might be the way to go. Then they have a factory up north to start building things in. They also have this problem. They bought themselves 3 submarines and then hid them away, because if they'd have put them down here in this Normandy Bordeaux factory, the Brits did have the aircraft carrier and 1 destroyer in place already. That could have come down and would more likely have smashed the submarine fleet before they had a chance to get themselves into the game properly. There was also 2 bombers here. 1 British bomber was lost in attacking the German factory, but 1 has gotten through and damaged the factory economically. But it's not too major a problem at the moment for Germany. They are generating quite a lot of income. America have come across the board now. They've come into Morocco and Gibraltar and landed units here, looking like that they're going to go for the soft underbelly of Europe, which again adds to Germany's quandary. Do they put a lot of units across into the Eastern Front? Do they try to hold the West, or come down south for the soft underbelly? Because Italy themselves, well, they're having a miserable game this time now. They really haven't got their boots on yet, and I don't see them being able to tie their own shoelaces together. So I think Germany will have to help out down south. They do have quite a large contingent of tanks left over from their Paris attack, which took a long time to get through, which may be enough just to be able to dissuade the Allied from landing south as well in the next couple of turns. But do Germany purchase lots of infantry artillery and load it into the centre of Europe? Or do they go for more navy, try to disrupt the flow forward that the Americans are going to start bringing over with their massive buying power in the next couple of turns? It's going to take some thinking about for Germany. Well, start of turn number 5, Germany have made their mind up of where they're going to go. They're going to buy themselves mainly infantry and upgrade their industrial complex that is in Romania right now. That will go up to a major industrial complex, meaning they can build stronger down here. However, they're not going to be attacking from Bessarabia into the Ukraine just yet. We're figuring that the more units we get in place later on, the more chance of success we're going to have whilst we're there. I'll just knock somebody over. Where what we are going to be doing is we're going to be making a spoiler attack into Western Ukraine with some of these guys in here, just to ease some of the pressure. We're going to use some of the planes from up here in Poland that can fly down. The main attack is going to be up into Leningrad and Novgorod to try to get that city up there. That should be an easier city to take. Plus, there's also an industrial centre up there as well that we will be able to use once we take that region. Obviously, nipping into Belarus is threatening Smolensk, is going to threaten Moscow itself, forcing perhaps the Soviets down here to move back and give us some breathing space down here. Obviously, it was that idea of whether we buy ships and whatever else it is to upset the crossing from the Americans, but we can't do everything at once. What we can do is we can use these tanks down here that would take forever to get across to the Eastern Front. We can disseminate those around the southern region and hold off this American force, which is building up here slightly now. So I'll get this first attack on the board, which will be from East Poland or West Poland, whichever one I'm thinking is today, and some of these guys here from Bessarabia into West Ukraine, and we'll see how much that's going to affect what the Soviet Union think is going to be, and then we're going to be doing this attack up here. I'll size it all up and see you in a sec. Okay, we have the battle into Western Ukraine on the board. These units that are left here, with the exception of the Belarus, which is the walk-in, and these guys up here in Finland, which can't get across, everything else that's here will be going into Novgorod for the attack later on. This is what it looks like on the board. It isn't the most confident attack by the Germans, but we remain hopeful that something good will happen to them. Let me just slide it so we get a bit more into focus. So what we have here is 8 German artillery infantry combinations plus 1 tank and a fighter and a tactical bomber combination as well going with it. In defence, the Soviets have 6 infantry and 4 artillery and 1 T-34 tank. Let's roll that out. Fingers crossed, loins girded, and see how we get on. We have infantry, we have the tactical and the the tactical and the fighter. Highest number being 4 in black dice, and we have 1 hit off of the Soviets straight away. We remove that onto the casualty strip and knock the guy off because he's feeling giddy and drunk. And we will have the tank going in at 3 on its own. That misses, and now we have the 8 dice at 2, which is the infantry artillery combinations for the Germans. 8 at 2, and we've got 4 hits. Oh, nice. So 4 more Soviets lose their life. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5 damage straight away. What can the Soviets do in reply? They have 1 tank at 3. That misses. Then we have the 10 units there, which is 6 infantry and 4 artilleries. We can even designate dice as if we knew what we were doing. We have got the 6 infantry in black dice and the 4 artillery in red dice. They're all defending at 2s against this pretty even German attack into them. And they've scored 3 hits in reply. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I would want a bit more, but it's probably about average. So we're going to lose 3 Germans from this attack. It's not a city down there in Western Ukraine. So all those guys are now off the board, and Germany can elect to follow on with this attack. So they have their tactical and their fighter, a 4 and a 3. Well, they both shot themselves in the foot there, didn't they? And a tank going in at 3 as well. And that gets a hit, so that infantry now is finally gone. And we now have left 4 artillery, 4 black dice, and 1 infantry from the Germans. All rolling in at 2s to try to make a mess of Ukraine. And just the 1 hit. Eek. So, in reply, Soviets have 1 T-34 tank. They have these 3 artilleries that are still alive at 2, and those 2 guys there defending at 2. So 3s and 2s. on the Soviet reply, and it's not that good. The one tank is hit and only one of the infantry artilleries has hit. So 2 more off of the Germans. These guys are now all removed from the battle. And we are left with the Germans' idea, shall we continue this battle? We've severely weakened them. We don't want to lose too many units ourselves as the German player, because obviously there is this still fairly major build-up in Ukraine itself. Should they decide, the Soviets this is, to push themselves forward into Bessarabia, I'm slightly concerned that we're not that strong there, and we have lost a deal of units there. So I think for now we are going to get our chicken on and say that attack is now over, and we will retreat back from West Ukraine, leaving the Soviets with some sort of headache, and I shall now get the attack into Novgorod on the board. Okay, this is going to be an attack into Novgorod, stroke Leningrad from Baltic states and Vyborg, and some planes from Poland as well, whatever. But we're also going to have an amphibious assault coming across. The transport ship that's there went back to Germany, picked up infantry artillery, shot that back into Novgorod to land on the beaches there, which means we can do an amphibious assault. We can get a bombardment from this one cruiser there. There was a thought of the Soviets defending with their one fighter, but we figured, well, it's better to defend the region rather than that. What's going to be a one dice roll affair, really, out to sea without doing too much damage. So we think it's probably the best way is to keep the fighter back for later use. So we are going to roll in with this one cruiser at 3s, and it misses. As a waste of time. And we have got now the 5 anti-aircraft shots from the 2 anti-aircraft guns that are in here against the 5 German units coming in from the air. 5 at once, and they've got a hit. So that means we're going to lose. I think one of the tacticals is probably the best way to keep that fighter tactical combination going for later on. So lost one of them. That's a bit expensive. We'll keep the 2 anti-aircraft guns from the Soviets on the battle strip. They can probably be used as fodder later on, hate that term, but put the battleship back up there, or the cruiser back up there. Now, this is what we've got here in response. We have got 5 infantry from the Germans, 5 combinations of infantry artillery, 4 tanks, a fighter, a tactical, and 2 bombers, versus 3 artillery and 8 infantry, plus their 1 fighter. And did you notice, last clip, I had the battle strip upside down. I don't know when or how that happened or how long it's been that way, but there you go. That was rather odd. Let's now start off with this German attack. We have 2 bombers going in at 4, a tactical going in 4, and its accompanying fighter at 3, along with 4 tanks. Let's see if Germany can do a massive smashing job and get into that the blood and guts of the Soviet defence of Leningrad. And it looks pretty good. There's a 1, 4, 2 there, and these are all at 3s. That is actually 5 damage. That's a little bit heavier than we thought it would be. So we take off the 2 hits on the anti-aircraft guns first, because they're going to be useless later on, and then 3 more hits, 2, 3. And then we are looking at these combination here of 10 infantry artillery. So we can do 10 dice together. We can have 5 black dice for the infantry and 5 red dice for the artillery. And why not indeed? Big handful. It looks fairly middly. There's 3 hits there. No, sorry, 4 hits there. That, yeah, is probably a little bit stronger than the Soviets were hoping for. So 4 units lost by the Soviets. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's leaving them looking really, really weak now. There is a chance, with just 4 units left, that we could, as Germans, one roll ourselves into Novgorod. let's keep our fingers crossed and our loins girded. We're going to use 5 black dice for these 5 infantry guys here and see what we can get up to. Ah, just the one hit. Well, I can't complain too much, can I really? So that is the actual casualties from the whole of that German attack here. And we can think about, because Leningrad is a city, using our city stock to retreat units back into here. We can retreat 3/4 of them. Yeah, we've only got 3 units. It's going to delay the Germans getting that city and getting the industrial centre by 1 turn. That is enough to justify that move. So we will retreat one of these artillery units. Let me just swap things over a little bit. We'll retreat 1 artillery unit into the city. It will automatically form 2 militia units to go with them. So it's going to give the Soviets a small bit of breathing space. They will have their reply from these 8 infantry units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 8 infantry and 2 of the artillery. So they're going to get 10 units to shoot back at 2s at the Germans to try to dissuade them from coming any further. It's not going to work. They're definitely coming in, and they're coming in well hard. So we've got our 10 dice for the Soviets to try and do some kind of damage against this massive German onslaught. All at 2s, and I'm just seeing 3 hits there. 1, 2, 3. It's not good enough. They're going to absolutely hate that. So 3 hits off the Germans. We're taking off the straight infantry. And these guys are all now out of the game. Oh dear. We haven't done the fighter. Let's not forget the fighter. You see at the end of the board, all tucked away nicely, disguised in white against the white background for me just here. So let's just roll that fighter as well. He gets a roll at 4, which is pretty strong, and he gets a hit as well. So fighters can't retreat into the city. That's just one of those things. So the Germans now can go again at these guys here. There is the 2 bombers plus a tactical bomber. There is the fighter, and there is 4 tanks. That is likely to be enough against the 3 remaining German units that are there. 2 artilleries and the fighter. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Yep, that is the remaining outside forces, the ones that were still in the Novgorod region and have now been lost. They will get their reply, however. They won't get to retreat back into the city. We have the fighter at 4 and the 2 artilleries at 2. And they've all hit. Nice job. So that's 3 off of the Germans. 1, 2, 3. I shall tidy all this back up onto the board. There's going to be a small bit of non-com moving by the Germans, as well as the walk into Belarus just to sort out, which is no combat at all, and maybe some shuffling around, get these tanks back onto the southern area of Central Europe. But apart from that, I think that will be enough for video number 2. I will see you in video number 3 when we will be at the end of this turn number 5, and I'll give you an after action report of everything that happens there then.